Hello there, Sir from 17 once again, bringing you Chapter 9 of my Human Revolution Give Me Deus Ex difficulty video walkthrough. And this is the Corporate Warfare section of the game, and it's another two-parter, and this is legitimately one of the longer and more challenging areas in the game. Because we're going to be sneaking into this, it's like the upper echelons of Shanghai, and it's this company that is a rival to Sarif Industries, so it's a massive, conglomerate of augmenting technologies and various bits of information and so on and so forth. And it is a massive corporation we're sneaking into, and there is a lot of flaws. There's a public flaw, there's a private sector, there's security areas, there's some Mission Impossible-esque dodging beams, there's all sorts of stealthy madness that's going to be conveying, and a lot of it can be quite tricky. But this first door you'll have to hack, and each hack takes a different amount of time, which you're going to learn just through the gut feeling of when you hack enough times in this game. You kind of learn how long it takes. So never get too indulgent on the hacks if you're going for the Foxiest of the Hound achievement that this guide will help you net, because if you set off an alarm when you're hacking, that is a fail. You will have to reload, and I know it sounds simple and silly, but you need to avoid it. And this is a really tragic moment, because the first time I got here, I told the guy I wasn't going to save him, and then I ended up saving him, and he helps you get through a room. And the only problem is, you need an ability, I think it's a level 3 hack, to even save him. And as I've mentioned in previous videos, I haven't optimized my character to be a hacker, so my hacking skills are not even touched. And I couldn't get in the room, and I kind of felt a little bit guilty for this poor guy, because I saved him last time when I didn't think I was gonna, and when I forced myself not to, it kind of sucked. And I was doing it completely for selfish reasons, because he helps you get through the next room, and I thought I was going to have to pay him money. But it turns out you can bluff the guard and quite easily get through the room. So this right now is me looking for an alternative route to get into this room and help the guy, but the only alternative route I found needed the upgrade so that you can breathe the toxic gas. And I would much rather upgrade my hacking than I would upgrading my lungs so that I could breathe that stupid gas, because there's about 5 areas of the game where it's even remotely bloody useful. So it just seems like a wasted augment in my idea. And there's no achievement for being fully augmented, so there's no real strife to get it unless you want to have a fully maxed out Jensen. But eventually I'm going to decide that I can't save this guy, and I'm going to bite the bullet, and I'm just going to continue on, because I'm looking here for cheeky vents, for something to move for, just a little secret somewhere that's going to help me get through, and I don't find it. And there probably is one, I just couldn't see it, and I got a little bit impatient because I was recording. If I wasn't recording, I might have taken a little bit longer, but at the end of the day, people aren't watching this to see me run around like a headless chicken. They're watching this so that they can have the most concise way of getting through the game and getting those 3 elusive achievements. So when you speak to this guard, this is the guy that he gets you through. If you bluff, you will get through just fine. So here's me deciding, because I'm not too confident on my ability, because as I say, the first time through, all of this was different. And it can be a little jarring when you're thrown into fresh new waters and you have no idea the direction you're supposed to be going. But there we go, we bluff our way past this giant tin man, and we can continue on. And this first section, when I first did it, figuring it out was more of a jigsaw than anything else. It doesn't take too strict timing. It's not all about acrobatics on the pad. It's all about watching patterns, learning patterns, and exploiting the weaknesses in said patterns. And I get through it pretty quickly. There is one mistake that I make, and I have to come back on myself afterwards, and it's not the most obvious thing to see, but I will point it out for people not to do what I do, and hopefully you'll be able to benefit. And right now, there is probably an advantage to coming up here, that like a cheeky ladder or a vent or an opportunity to drop down or something like that. I thought that was a mine, that's why I crouched then and shit my pants, but it was just a door klaxon. And there's probably some advantageous position up here that you can utilise, like one of those shitty walls that you can bust through or something, but I couldn't see it, and I was like, why the fuck have I even come up here? So I go all the way back the other way, and I was just getting a little bit, a little bit edgy, a little bit more creative. I was trying to romanticise my methods, and it didn't pay off, so I don't advise doing it, unless you've figured it out. And there you go, the sexy Icarus landing. That is a lifesaver of a move, and it also looks pretty badass. So what I do here is I jump over this edge and I land down on this section. And there's a guard that is patrolling this lower area. For some reason as well, I go on a little bit of an adventure here, trying to see if I can find any secret spots or any items that might have been littering the trays or these cupboards and things. And I do find a couple of goodies, but in all honesty, this is not the best of little secret spots that you can find. Because look, I find a revolver, but you haven't even seen me fire a weapon on this game, and I end up alerting him to my presence because of the sound of my footsteps. And as I mentioned in an earlier video, if you're above somebody and they're on the floor below you, if they are close enough to you so that they're in the circle of sound that you emit, they will still hear you regardless of height. And it's a little bit of bullshit if you ask me, but I suppose it's also, there is realism to it and it is warranted. But right now, that is the area I think I went last time, and because I don't have the hacking ability, I couldn't get there, and I couldn't quite jump over that, which means you have to go down the stairs, turn right, and then come back on yourself. And for a couple of minutes, I was kind of mind-farting on where I was supposed to go, but I generally figured it out just then, and now we can progress onwards. It was just me being a bit of a dumb bastard. But here is the first camera, and the first barrage of movable boxes, which you don't have to use, but they are useful for making improvised cover. There's a couple of sections where on my first playthrough I actually stacked boxes so that it would hide me when I was hacking anything that was remotely public. Because, say for instance, when you're hacking in the police station, they will see you all the time, so it was a really fun and unique way of hiding my profile while I did the hacks. But right there, utilise your stealth to rush through that section. It's not too challenging at all, there's nobody that can hear you, and this guy here plays a significant role in stealthing through this section. He plays a bigger role than you would think. And the reason for it is, there's a mechanic in this game which involves following AIs as they drop laser-guided systems so that you can stealth through said laser-guided systems. So there you go, he moves through and it allows me to go, but don't follow him, come back on yourself. See how I turn back there? Because up there is not the way you want to be, and if you follow this guy, he will get you across in a much quicker path. And the way the AI works on this game is kind of dumb, but it's kind of great because you can exploit it. And their cone of vision is directly forward. And the only time they will see you is obviously if you're in that cone. When you're crouched and you move, you can be as close to them as you want because you will not make any sound whatsoever. It's brilliant like that. If you stand up, you will make plenty of sound, but if you are crouched, you can feasibly hug their ass and they will not notice you unless you touch them. If you touch them, that's a no-brainer, that's instant alarm. But for all intents and purposes, if you know how to exploit it, you can with ease, because if they have their back to you, you are safe. If they start to turn around, use your cloak. It's that simple, and it makes a lot of areas extremely easy. And these are kind of cool doors as well, this one here. It has a ventilation grid in it at the front, and it enables you to look through into corridors. And if you see a door like that and you see a guard patrolling near it, you can use it to watch him and make sure he's not looking when you go out. Your radar should show you that information, but if it doesn't for whatever reason, that is a really nice technique to use. But once you're in this elevator, Pritchard's going to talk to you and he's going to tell you that the place that you're looking for is most likely up. So you have to keep going all the way through this stratosphere, keep going up all the different plateaus and levels, all the way from maintenance to public to private to all sorts of madness. But there's some more lockers for you to mess about in. A couple of shotgun cartridges there, that looks like either magnum rounds or machine pistol ammo and what have you. There's also an area there that you can hack, but there is a vent to get into that room if you want to go in there. I don't really think it's worth going in, but I do believe I do it in this run, because I saw the vent as I was jumping just then. I don't know if you guys caught it as well. But that's what this game does. For a lot of the places, there is generally multiple ways to get into them, so never fear if you don't have an attribute high enough to do something. You will probably still be able to get there if you look hard enough. It definitely rewards creativity and exploration, hence why you keep getting the little bits of XP for going in every vent and opening every door and so on and so forth. But here is the little secret room. There's one of the protein bars, one of the jizz bars as I call them, because they're full of protein. Dudunts. And little else really, so it's not exactly the best room, but you have to go in there anyway because you have to shut the power off. So my bad, I say it's a secret when it's actually mandatory, so I am a bit of a dumb bastard. But I do believe the last time I went in it, I hacked it. So it is new for me, do bear with me, I have my retard moments as well. And then you just have to jump up on all this crap so that you can get onto this balcony. When you jump correctly onto the balcony, then there will be a ladder, and then this ladder is going to take you up into the next area. But this game is a pleasure when there's something to say about a strategy and things like that, because it just rolls off the tongue. It makes the commentaries very, very easy. The only problem is, when you go through one of the slow periods, you don't know if you have long enough to start a story or start talking about something silly, because the game suddenly swings back into something that you have to start telling exactly what must be done. So it's definitely one of the most interesting walkthroughs I've made, purely from a commentary perspective. But once you're on the lift, Pritchard's going to start talking to you again, and he's going to tell you that we need to get to the data core room, which is where they believe this information is going to be stored. And it's actually an interesting room, the data core room, because it has very high security getting into it, and then when you do get into it, there's a load of laser fields. But you can make getting to the room significantly easier by turning off the cameras in the atrium of the room, basically. And I didn't know you could do this, so when I first went through, I had a hell of a lot of trouble. So I'm going to show you exactly how to get through it nice and simply, so this guide will actually prove its worth rather than being a hindrance to your playstyle. But I'm using my Praxis kits to upgrade my batteries, so now I have 3. I got the Ghost and Smooth Operator for getting through that section, which is always a nice, healthy boost to your XP. And we are now in the public sector with scientists and civilians, so you can now run around without fear of being seen. A nice indication if you've not quite got the colour coding of the map. Anything that's friendly is green, anything that's white is potentially hostile and aware of your position. So if you see white on the radar, it means that that person will be alarmed if you let them be alarmed, and so on, so forth. If they're yellow, that means they are alarmed, and then if they're red, you're fucked. But it should never get that way, because when you see the whites, you want to avoid them as best you can, and full on go into, you know, Sam Fisher Splinter Cell mode, whatever you want to call it, ninja mode. There's plenty of names. You could even probably say Siphon Filter, but there's quite possibly plenty of people who don't even know what that game was, purely because it wasn't as, you know, widely known as your Metal Gear Solids, and it was kind of B-movie quality compared to them, but still an interesting game. As I run through all these officers, hacking computers, reading emails, and so on, and this is obviously not the operating theatre, which makes you wonder where it is. That's probably just an observation room where they take you in, they take your blood pressure, they make you run on a what they call now, I can't even remember the name of the fucking machine, but you run and it runs with you. It's like a friendly running machine. But this is, I think, there's the yellow icon on the map, so we are now in an area that we can be alerted. So this is when you have to be stealthy, and as part of the course, I'm using the cover-to-cover maneuver. That is the technique I mentioned of going into cloak before you do it and then coming out. It's very useful and will get you through almost every situation if there's enough cover. And we just make your way through here. If you pick this box up, be careful of making too much noise. You shouldn't alert anybody to your presence though, and you can just continue to tortoise your way through this science lab and through these double doors back into the public sector. The arrows go green, you're now safe again to go full speed. And there is a lot of opportunities to hack rooms, to hack different consoles, and they probably reward you with goodies, little tidbits of storyline information, and even passwords for computers coming up. But as is the general theme of this guide, I am not a hacker. I will not be hacking all the way through the game. The only time I decide to do it is when I have to find the 3 scientists, but I'll speak more about that when we get there. And just explore to your heart's content. You don't have to play this game any set way. There is no one way to play this game, and that is the glory of it. That is why it's getting such high scores. That is why it's being, you know, all the accolades and praises are just being completely blossomed on it, because it does things differently, and it does things the way a lot of games promise to, but generally don't deliver. But when you walk forward there, this is a tripwire. It's something that you will trigger if you go too close to the guard, and you bullshit him as usual, but the way you want to go, I think, is to the right, because over here is where the good stuff is. And I'm looking for vents, but I remember that all you have to do is hack this console, so make sure you save before you start hacking, because you never know if the guard's going to see you and potentially ruin the run, and you never know how difficult the hack is, so you don't know how long you're going to be at the console for. But fortunately for me, it was an easy hack. And did you notice just then how I highlighted the hacking button, let go of it, and it didn't hack. That only happened to me because I was using a different pad. And for some reason it kept fucking me, and it was so annoying. And a little backstory to that is the pad I normally use, as I comment on all the time, has had its fair share of use, so it's very damaged. It's the thumbsticks, the plastic on them is almost corroded so far down that you can feel the under framing that holds it all together. Both my analogs stray, so if I let the pad still for a while, you'll either move to the left, you'll either move up, and the aiming one started doing it now, because it's got to the point where it's practically an old hooker in a boudoir with far too many memoirs. It's just pretty much useless, but I still use it because I'm used to the way it feels. I'm used to the resistance it gives me because it's stiff, it's awkward, but it's my pad, and it's what I know. And this guy, this guy, I sound like such a cool guy, you know. Shut the fuck up. This game is very stealthy, and you need to be able to make micro adjustments to your movements and be able to move very slowly and skulk around environments. And when you have a pad that's doing that when you're not even pushing the fucking buttons, you can understand how difficult it can be. So I actually got my wired pad that I use to play the shooters, the Japanese shmups that I buy and I import, because that is a wired pad that hardly takes any use unless I'm playing those games, and the analogs are perfect, they don't drift or anything, they're perfect. And that's what I used to record, because I didn't want to be moving out of cover and getting spotted on a no alarm guide. But yeah, nothing worse than fighting your pad and fighting the game at the same time. So this is the room where you disable the computer that enables you to go to the data core room, and it's the computer on the other side of this reading bench, or whatever the hell that is. This is an air vent that leads to another area of the room, and it's also a possible way in, but I've already got in, so I don't need to use it, so there you go. You could have come through this air vent and into that room. It's another really good avenue to stealth your way in. But I'm going to be turning around this corner into this next room and using that. So there I go. I'm even pointing it out for you subconsciously, there you go. But it's behind me now, the console I need to hack. There it is. It's a level 1 hack, so you should be able to do it regardless of level. And the computer controls are not the easiest thing to master. When I first got on one, I didn't know what was happening. I was pressing the buttons left and right, and it just felt like the most unresponsive bullshit mechanic I've ever come across. But what you have to do is, there's a difference between being on the left row of items and being on the cameras. So you need to make sure you go across to the cameras. You see the white square around the box, then you press A to turn the cameras off. If the cameras are green, it means they're intact. If they're red, they're turned off. Then you need to go over to the doors and open them. Then when you go in this room, the doors are open, the turrets are off, and it is the easiest way to getting into the data core. And that is the door that I think you had to hack. But this is the laser trip room, and I call it that because I'm creative and I enjoy word playing. Not really, I call it that because there's a ton of fucking lasers, and what happens here is there are lasers everywhere, and there is a sweeping laser that goes left to right. If the lasers touch you, the alarm goes off, and I'm going to get into this in the next video, so I will see you there guys. Thanks for watching, and you take care now.